I am Ren Scow. I am the head librarian of the CVM Scouts Library, and actually I am also a member of the GFPS of the College of Veterinary Medicine. That is why I am the one that will be your MC for this God Talk. And actually, before we start, maybe I will give you some house rules muna for our Zoom session. So these are just a few reminders before we formally start this session. So first, as you know, this session will be recorded for documentation and evaluation purposes. And also, I hope you can turn off your microphones and cameras during the sessions, and questions will be answered or entertained during the Q&A portion at the end of this session. And also, please answer the attendance form that will be sent in our chat box for this session. Okay, so now later on I will also be sending pa rin yung ating attendance form since may mga pumapasok pa. And before I turn you over to our speaker, so medyo magbigay lang ako ng konting introduction about this God Talk. No? Actually, the CVM is actively participating sa mga initiative ng UPLB sa pag-mainstream ng gender and development dito sa UPLB sa buong university. And in fact, we are already conducting activities ng mga GAD activities for our constituents, especially sa ating mga staff, and also sa ating mga students. So during also the convocation, meron din tayo diyang mga portion na present tayo about these mga GAD videos and other awareness materials para din ma-inform natin ang ating mga constituents about the initiatives din na ginagawa and also how we can participate in mainstreaming gender and development in our own daily lives. No? And also, in fact, this partnership with the NSTP class is just one of the lineup of activities na ipapresent ay na ikakandak ng college. No? Marami pa kayong mga aabangan. So ito muna yung isa sa mga activities na ikakandak natin related to gender. And hindi ko na to pahabain pa. So gusto ko kayo nang i-turn over sa ating sa ating speaker for this GAD talk. So she is an assistant professor sa clinical sciences. So maybe baka kilala nyo na rin siya. She is also active sa iba't ibang mga veterinary activities, and also she is a multi-awarded na faculty. So I am very happy. And in fact nga pala, si Doc May, yung ating speaker, is also a former member of the CVM TWG. Kaya tuloy marami din talaga siyang ng mga naging activities sa gender, kaya nakakatuwa na nandito ulit makakasama natin siya para magbigay sa inyo ng short talk on women empowerment and her experiences as a women expert in veterinary medicine. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you our speaker for this GAD lecture, Doc Maying Pilapil-Amante. Hello, Doc. Good morning po. Doc, you're still on mute.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much for reminding me. Yes. Okay. Good morning again. And thank you for having me today. And unfortunately, I'm not there to deliver this lecture face to face. Nevertheless, it will be the same, no? The enthusiasm, I hope, will be the same from start to finish. Okay, so let me now share my presentation. So let me check here. Wait a moment. Okay. Yeah. Can you see my presentation? Okay. Yes. You can see it, right?
Yes, Doc. Okay na po.
Okay, thank you very much. So as Sir Renz have said earlier, I was a former member of the TWG representing UP-CVM for UPLB Gender Center. So this is really close to my heart. And then when this topic was given to me, and of course I had to grab the chance to be able to serve, no, again and also to empower women from students to colleagues and to UPLB staff. And so this title is of this lecture is Women in Veterinary Practice: Challenges, Contributions, and Inspirations. Okay, let me start with giving you this outline. First, I'm going to give you the list of the challenges faced by women veterinarians, starting from the early veterinarians. And later on, I will also give a list of the current challenges that we are facing now. And that will be followed by the entry of women in the veterinary profession. And you'll be quite surprised about the long timeline of when the first women veterinarians entered the industry. And then I will also give you a list of the hand-picked milestones of women veterinarians in our country. And to give you an inspiration, I will share you about how I started in my career as a woman veterinarian here in the Philippines, and also to share what we have in store and what you can expect, no, from veterinary medicine, focusing on women veterinarians here in the Philippines, and some takeaway messages at the end of this lecture. The objectives of this presentation is to highlight the journey of women in veterinary practice and to showcase their contributions in animal health, public health, and society, to discuss challenges faced by women veterinarians early on and up to now, and to inspire future generations of women veterinarians. Okay, during the early years of veterinary medicine, which started in 1762 in Lyon, France, where Dr. Claude Bourgelat established the first veterinary school, formerly known as the Royal Veterinary School. And coming from that very early years of that formal establishment of the school, 1762, it has been more than 2 centuries where we didn't have any women veterinarians all over the world. So it was very largely male dominated. And the struggles of the early women veterinarians started with professional exclusion, meaning more than 200 years, women are not allowed to learn about veterinary medicine, to be registered in veterinary schools. They are outright excluded because this profession was mainly for men. So that was the number one struggle or the challenge. Next, when they have been registered, they got the prejudice, or they were discriminated extensively by their male peers. And when they graduate, they lack the recognition. They were not let in membership of professional organizations. And the first veterinarian actually had to really fight herself in that organization to be recognized. And it was a really difficult hurdle for her. And next, the societal expectations. And this is still rampant until now. This limits the women's opportunities. Like, of course, even from before, heavily even before, that women are expected to take care of the family, to be the homemaker, and to prepare everything for their husband. So how can they balance that with having a very demanding career like in veterinary medicine? And because of these responsibilities, the opportunities for women veterinarians are also limited, such that, of course, they cannot go far away and distant places where they can have their jobs or they can have, scholarships. And like I said, this societal expectations are still very much evident until now. Now we go to the journey of women in the veterinary profession. The very first one is Dr. Marie Kapsevich, or Kapsevich, who graduated in 1897 from the same Royal Veterinary College in Lyon, France. So this is just like the French name of that same institution. And next, we have Dr. Aline Isabel Cust from the United Kingdom, of which you can see the picture here. She graduated in the 1900s. So I was able to stumble upon a literature that said that she graduated in 1895, but several others would say that she graduated in the early 1900s. So I just put her in the second place. And she graduated from Scotland in New Veterinary College in Edinburgh, Scotland. And she's the first woman to become the veterinary surgeon in Ireland and the UK. So in the UK, the graduates of veterinary medicine are called veterinary surgeons, not just simply veterinarians. So that's how they also have their formal professional organization. They call it the Royal Academy or Royal College of Veterinary Surgeons. And this is when Dr. Aline was trying to really be a part of, but it kind of took time before she was formally recognized by that formal organization. Next, we have Dr. Isabel Bruce Reed. And as we know, we have a famous artist that is like biracial, half Filipino, half Australian, who has the same family name as Reed. So that will help you try to remember that Dr. Isabel Bruce Reed comes from Australia. So she graduated from Melbourne Veterinary College in 1902. Next, now we go to the USA. So quite surprising that you would think that they are in the forefront, quite still in the forefront, but not in the very front. So they came next to the journey of women, entry of women in the veterinary profession from the UK and then Australia. So we have Dr. Mignon Nicholson, which who graduated from McKillop Veterinary College, and this is her picture. And we have Dr. Eleanor McGrath who graduated in 1910 from the Chicago Veterinary College and was the first practicing small animal veterinarian in Chicago. Next, we have Dr. Florence Kimball, who graduated in 1910 from the prestigious Cornell University. And there's actually another picture of Dr. Kimball, but I chose to put this instead because this is their class picture from 1910. And it's very male dominated. And you can see that she's the only female graduate from that class. And on the other side, in the Oceania, we also have notable pioneer women veterinarians. Dr. Pearl Howard Dawson, who graduated in 1910, but this is she took her education from the United States. And then we have Dr. Annette Frances Mildred Layton, who graduated in 1949 and became the first woman graduate registered as veterinarian in New Zealand. And quite at the same time, in the United States, we have Dr. Alfredo Wilhelmina Johnson Webb, which who graduated from the Tuskegee Institute, now known as Tuskegee University. That's in Alabama. And this is actually a school where you can only African Americans were registered. So I'm not sure now if they are accepting white Americans to study in university, but it's heavily African Americans who are studying there, and even up to now. So she became the first African American woman to graduate from the veterinary school in the said institute. And she also has another picture, but I chose this one again because this was their class picture from 1949-1950, showing that she's the lone female graduate from the veterinary class. At the same time, which is just a month apart, we have Dr. Jane Hinton, who succeeded Dr. Webb, but she graduated from the University of Pennsylvania, and she's one of the first African women to also earn the veterinary degree in the US. So it's the same year, but it's just a difference of 1 month in their graduation dates. And then we have Dr. Patricia O'Connor, also from the USA, known as the first female zoo veterinarian serving the Staten Island Zoo. Now, here in the Philippines, this is timeline of the women leaders in our country. The establishment of the University of the Philippines College of Agriculture, which also houses the veterinary medicine, was in 1908, and the first graduates of the DVM program was in 1914. So they are also heavily male dominated. And it's only when during the time of 1940s and 1960s where we had our first female veterinarian as well. And that's at the same time as what they have in the United States. That's in 1949 for the African American female veterinarians. So we're in the same timeline in that position. And from 1940, starting 1949, more women are now coming into the veterinary practice and also serving the government and doing really important works in public health, academia, research, and policymaking. And in the 1970s, we have the creation of the Veteran Women's League, which is an affiliate of the Philippine Veterinary Medical Association, which still stands to now. And the name now is the Philippine Veterinary Women's Association. And the one of the first presidents of that chapter affiliate is Dr. Zenaida Villacorte. And later on, one of the officers also is Dr. Rubiso Mangalindan, who is now in the United States. If I'm not mistaken, she's working in the University of Washington. And in the 1980s, that's when we started to have the first and second female president of the Philippine Veterinary Medical Association. Okay, more of the list of the pioneering women veterinarians in the Philippines. So in 1949, our first Filipino veterinarian is Dr. Carmen C. Reyes, who graduated from the UP College of Veterinary Sciences then, now CVM. Next, we have Dr. Tigore S. Ruiz, which is among the female pioneers in government service. Then we have Dr. Lourdes M. Carlos, among also the female pioneers in veterinary academia, and then Dr. Maria Victoria Cruz, among the female pioneers to hold senior positions in the Bureau of Animal Industry. Okay, now we, like I mentioned earlier, we face like similar struggles up to this present time. And one of the common ones that I still face as a woman veterinarian is the gender bias and stereotypes, especially because I'm into large animal practice. Of course, because of the strength, because of the hard work that's needed with large animal practice, having to handle large animals. So most of the clients would really favor a male veterinarian. And then, of course, like openings for jobs would favor male veterinarians. But over time, like starting in the 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s, I mean, the landscape is really quite changing already, and that's really a good thing for us. Another struggle would be the workplace challenges. It's not quite evident here in the Philippines, but in the US and in other Western countries, it's still very rampant. The pay gap is very wide before, but at this present time, it's now reduced to 3%. It's still there, but at least the difference is very minimal as compared to before. And I already also mentioned about career advancement hurdles. I mean, the scholarships are there, but then we are really at the predicament of getting the scholarship because we have to also try to balance having to take care of our children and our family, etc. Another would be work-life balance, which is quite related to the workplace challenges. And let me go back to the workplace challenge. So most of the time, the women are the custodial parents, meaning we are the ones who are mostly in charge of everything happening with our children, with the schedules, with their daily food, with their clothes, etc. So one of which is having to pick them up and send them to school. And it's very tricky because when it really coincides with your work, especially if you have very demanding work in the small animal clinics, or even if it's in a large animal practice, So it's very difficult to really prioritize your work over the schedule of your child. Okay. And next, the last one would be on health and safety concerns in the field. So when you do field work, most of the time you have to really leave your home very early in the morning, or you have to go home late at night. So still, as we are women, of course, we are very at high risk of um, sexual advances by other people. And in my like especially in my experience, I cannot wear makeup even if I want, if I go to farms, just to lessen the risk. And like most of my girlfriends would really have their false eyelashes already, and they're asking me like they're inviting me to also have my very beautiful false eyelashes. But I really beg to yeah, not to do it because of this safety concern in the field. Now, this is a timeline in the US of the evolution of the workplace concerning women. In 1963, they have the Equal Pay Act, which would really lessen or at least remove the discrimination by gender in terms of the wage that should be given to a particular individual. And in 1970, at a very low number, it started with 8% of the DVM graduates being female. In 1973, they started to remove any discrimination in terms of gender, having access to veterinary education. In 1996, this is having equal opportunity in the employment, and that's the enforcement plan issued. And this is to ensure that more opportunities, scholarship, job offers would also land females. And starting from the 2000s and up to now, we have increasing numbers of female veterinarians in the practice already. Now more than 50%. No, from 2009, it started with 55%. In 2017, like I mentioned earlier, now we have a very minimal gender gap of less than 3%. And right now, the workplace in the United States and in other Western countries is already about 80%. And I saw the population of veterinary program in Cornell University. It's very heavily dominated by females now. About, I could say 90%, at least 90%. And this also to show you the UP-CVM class of 2025, which we see that they're now heavily dominated by female veterinarians. So these are our recent graduates, and more countries are also following suit in opening the barriers to women's and having more female students and female veterinarians. And over this time, no, the veterinary field has become more inclusive, collaborative, and innovative. Now we go to the current local milestones. We have here Dr. Carmencita Mateo, who is the first female and only veterinarian UPLB Professor Emeritus, which was granted her last 2013. She's actually coming from the UP College of Agriculture and Food Sciences, but she's teaching the, I think, veterinary physiology and anatomy. She's a veterinarian, but she's a professor emeritus under the UPLB CAFs. And she was also awarded the National Research Council of the Philippines Lifetime Achievement Awardee in 2014. And in 2019, she was awarded the PhilSan. So this is the Philippine Society of Animal Nutritionists, Most Outstanding Animal Nutritionist. And also in the same year, she was recognized as the UPLB Distinguished Alumni Awardee in Veterinary Education and Research. So there is actually a good list now of women veterinarian awardees, but I just handpicked a few. More so, women as leaders, we have female PVMA presidents. So we start with Dr. Maria Corazon R. Reyes. which served as a president in 1994 to 1995. Our former professor was also part of the same department as where I am now, together with your professors, Dr. Jessalyn Constante and Dr. Mel Rendina. So this was our former chairperson from the DVCS also, Dr. Veronica A. Matuwaran, who served as president in 2014 and 2015. Then we have Dr. Joy M. Santos serving in 2018 and 2019, and Dr. Gerson P. Occidental, president to 2020 to 2021. Both Doc Joy and Doc Corazon also were recipients of awards in the PVMA Outstanding Veterinarian for private practice and or for small animal practice. Then we have Dr. Lina Policarpio, which is a current vice president, president-elect of the organization for from last year to this year. She will be the president next year. And okay, from our own college, we have our deans, Dr. Grace D. Ocampo, who served from 2010 to 2012, and Dr. Luinda R. Baldias from 2013 to 2016, and our current dean, Dr. Amy Estacio. And we also are very proud no, to have Captain Famela A. Asporia, cum laude class of 1997, as the first veterinarian in the Philippine Coast Guard. And with her appointment is also the establishment of the first Philippine Coast Guard Veterinary Service, to which she is the first commander. Okay, so we're very, very proud of her. And we also have more awardees, the Philippine Regulatory Commission Outstanding Professionals in Veterinary Medicine. We have from 2017, Dr. Luz Viminda T. Simborio. From 2023, Dr. Virginia M. Venturina. And currently, we have Dr. Teresa Mundina S. Lim. So they are actually all very active in research and academia. So Dr. Silverio was a professor in the Central Mindanao University. She focuses on pathology and microbiology. Dr. Virginia Venturina is from the Central Luzon State University, and she's focusing on parasitology and ruminants. And we have Dr. Teresa Mundita Eslim. She was the former executive director of the ASEAN Biodiversity Center, and she's now an advisor of the said organization, and she's very well versed into One Health. Now, let me share to you my pathway, how I went into veterinary medicine, how I was able to prepare myself into the large animal practice, which, as mentioned earlier, is has gender bias. So how did I have that interest, and how did I prepare myself to be able to stand the ground in the mainly male-dominated large animal practice in veterinary medicine? So I grew up in Naga City, Camarines Sur, and although it's a city, I was very much exposed to livestock, and it's how my parents, especially my father, he was always taking care of farm animals, and that's how I grew up with having to love livestock and poultry. And of course, we always have pets in the house. And when I was graduating, I took advanced duty in Del Monte Bukidnon, and this is where I was exposed heavily into more of beef cattle operations, and also equine practice. This is where I started to learn horseback riding, and we did a lot of physical examination of the horses being who are living there at the time. They also have a dairy department where we learn about how they do the milk production there, and they actually have a small community or that they serve their dairy products they because the amount is really heavily on the beef cattle operations. And this is when we have when we learned how to do the nutrition of beef cattle, because they have their own feed mill, and in the feedlot, okay, because they have this operations where everything is being given to the cows, so they are not grazing, and they are given the pineapple pulp from as a byproduct of the Del Monte Pineapple Company. And they also have their own abattoir. So that's when I also started having to gain interest in veterinary public health, food hygiene, food safety. And I also did my thesis. I conducted my thesis in the Philippine College, Philippine Carbo Center at UPLB. And my thesis was actually on the ecoflow geography of the water buffalo. And after completing my DVM, but before I went on to March for the formal graduation, I went to Palawan to do volunteer work. And I was also heavily exposed into all sorts of animals being taken care of the government. So since Palawan is also heavily on livestock. So we had to handle a lot of beef cattle as well, and also and also pigs. So we collected blood for the surveillance of the provincial veterinary office. That's when I graduated. My first job was in horses. And I was actually only there for 6 months, but I was heavily exposed with the racehorse industry. And that's one of the one of the first challenges that I actually faced, because like wherever you go, they're all males. And it's only a few females that you can talk to in the racehorse industry. I had an experience. Well, most of the people are really kind to me, and they're really willing to help me. But y- I experienced some safety concerns, because I had to really go to the race track very early in the morning. Sometimes we get emergency calls. We have to go there late at night. And then, sometimes some of the trainers would take fondness of me. So these are the safety concerns that I encountered early on in my career. But still, I stand strong. So that's important thing. I'm not very sensitive to this kind of stuff. So what's important is really want to learn, and I really want to, thrive in my chosen profession. So that's why I just continue what I'm doing. Okay. But unfortunately, that early on career did not continue very well. And I went to practice into ruminants. So that's my second job. And I was here for a decade. So this is where I really experienced a lot of things. So starting from practice, and this is to show you when I'm doing reproduction, because that's one of the discipline that I was assigned to in my stay in that ruminant farm. And then I also was able to go to different places in the world to understand about reproductive biotechnology. So we did semen collection in this very high valued bull, over 1 million pesos. And this was taken some 15 years ago. So I'm sure he's already dead, but his semen is very valuable up to now. And and on this picture, it's when we were doing embryo transfer, and with me, this male veterinarian is coming from Thailand, and he went here in the country to help me do the embryo transfer on site. And another picture here is when I was doing selection of the embryos, and this was in laboratory in Thailand, when I was doing the training. And like I said, I went to different places, and I was able also to go to New Zealand, privileged enough to learn how they do dairy farming there. And behind me is the robotic machine where they used to milk the animals. So no more people. And these other pictures here from New Zealand and then the United States. And aside from practice, no, I went into also management. I was to handle different sectors of the ruminant operations. So I was involved in the setup, in the maintenance, management, and operations of several laboratories in the farm. We have the animal health laboratory, other health laboratory, molecular biology laboratory, where we also have beside it is the UV light room. And then for the reproductive biology laboratories, we have for semen processing and then the embryo transfer. As I was now also managing the farm, so I was also involved not only on veterinary concerns, but also on agricultural concerns, but still very quite important because this will feed the animals. So I was involved in tending to the agriculture staff, the pasture, and ensuring that we always have feeds for the animals, and also involved heavily on their nutrition to make sure that we have good milk production. Aside from that, I was involved in infrastructure design as well, because as the manager, I was in charge of planning ahead of what infrastructures we're going to have in the future, what buildings, what type of buildings, are the buildings built properly by the chosen contractors, etc. And I was involved also with the administration as I was managing the farm, and I have here some of my staff members in our department. And I was also involved with food safety as milk is being consumed by humans, and that's the main product that we're producing. So I also did relevant trainings on the HACCP, and also quite involved with just basic involvement with the milk processing or processing of the products that we get from our cows. And over time, no, our expertise is being sought by neighboring farms. So we started to do consultancy, which is still connected with the farm I'm working with. And we also conducted trainings to help them, like when they do AI, when they do rectal palpation, so that they can do proper pregnancy diagnosis. And this was my transition actually, doing this consultancy work and training work. And at the same time, when I was managing the farm, I started to do graduate studies in UPLB. And that's when it paved way that I was doing more presentations now. So I did local and international presentations as well, still connected there with the ruminant farm until I left the farm and then I joined the academe. So this is now my journey as a professor in UPLB. And I joined in 2016, and I'm now like nearly a decade in the academia. And on the side, I'm still doing or handling some large animals as my patients. And this was also a window for me to bring along some students and make my and have my patients documented well. And we write the case report, and we present the case reports to local and international conferences. And I am also involved with several research studies, and that allows me, together with my students, to also present to local and international conferences, and also to publish them in journal articles. And while I'm doing the practice and also the research and teaching, this paved the way for me to be accepted in some of the Philippine colleges. These are our specialty colleges under the Philippine Veterinary Medical Association. So the one here on the left is of the Philippine College of Veterinary Public Health. And if you can see my arrow, okay, basically the lady like very in front of the picture, that's Dr. Zenaida Villacorte, which I mentioned earlier as one of the female pioneers in veterinary medicine here in the country. And on the other side is the Philippine College of Equine Practitioners. So we are only a few female veterinaries in this group, but still we're strong. We want to recruit more female veterinarians, so the population will be as equal as possible. But still, PSEP is mainly male dominated. Aside from that, no, I was also able to become fellow of the Philippine College of Veterinary Epidemiology, and also founding member fellow, and now a board member of the Philippine Society of Veterinary Internal Medicine. So these specialty colleges allows us to be involved in policy making, also in research, and because most of the time we are asked or we are tasked to draft bills such as the One Health bill that will be used by our government officials to be able to pass as a bill and then as a law, so that we can have better implementation of veterinary medicine here in the Philippines. So some key takeaways from this lecture is that over time, women have transformed veterinary practice. From the entry of women in the industry in the 1940s and the 1960s, several have already, like, are pillars in their own right in their very sector, be it in One Health, in policy making, in research, in academia, in private practice. Women veterinarians already all over, not only locally, but in the whole world. Again, challenges still persist, but opportunities are growing. A very good example would be the pay gap, from a very wide one to now less than 3%, at least for the US. And with the many roles that the women veterinarians have taken in the many sectors of veterinary medicine, of course, we cannot, just ignore the contributions that veterinarians have given over time. And hopefully this will inspire, encourage the next generation of women veterinarians. And I saw from this class, some are actually my students from another class. There are also female students, attending this lecture, and I hope, that you will be inspired more to continue. If you're not very sure yet of this course, please do continue, because we need more representation in this industry. And what I experienced as well is mentorship. Starting on, okay, let me share this story. Starting on when I just first joined the academe, and I'm starting to really join the specialty colleges to be involved and to take part in nation building, and to be more involved and to help in the community and in the society. The people that really welcomed me and really pushed me to where I am now are female veterinarians. Um, Natitiri-eye ako, actually naiyak ako because I'm remembering it. So the first one, it's Dr. Mimi Lopez. She's a former veterinarian of the Bureau of Animal Industry. She taught me, like, she pushed me, but whatever you're doing, even if it's hard, just do it. And I really encourage you to be more active in the specialty college, so that you will learn more, you will be more exposed in that. More opportunities will come your way. And let me just say, in the Philippine College of Veterinary Public Health, most are really my mothers, because they really understand my challenges, because I would go to meetings. I was carrying my 2-year-old, I think 1-year-old or 2-year-old son, and I was running after him while we are having a formal meeting. But everybody's just, very understanding of my situation. I really want to be active, but still, not forget my responsibility as a mother. And they're the ones to really, help me still continue with my passion of serving. And that's my mother, Dr. Zenaida Villacorte, and also the former president of Philippine College of Veterinary Epidemiology, um Dr. Carol Benigno. Um she's the one who nominated me to be as fellow. So because you cannot self-nominate yourself, right? You cannot do self-nomination. So it has to be someone else. And she was able to really see the potential in me. And she pushed me to be a fellow. So now I am in the position of mentoring early career researchers. Well, I'm an early career researcher myself, but fresh graduates who are wanting to also do more in veterinary epidemiology. So I'm really indebted to these people. So it's really us women who will really empower fellow women, and we really have to cheer ourselves on, because we have to be very evident in the society. um we have a huge role, no, because I read something that we have to be more exposed or seen more as decision makers, because when we are involved in each project, no, the projects become, more progressive, I read that from a report. And so, furthermore, my advice to you, not only actually to female veterinary students, but to all of the students listening this lecture, to build your confidence by doing a lot of volunteer work. That's what I did. In every semester break that I had when I was still in my undergraduate years, I would do volunteer work. I did volunteer in a small animal clinic in my place. I went to Palawan. I went to Del Monte in Bukidnon. I went to, like, even when I graduated during my time, I would go to the rescue center of Dr. Donato in Calamba so that I will learn more about exotic medicine, exotic veterinary medicine. So I would do a lot of volunteer work. Next is for you to find your niche, no? Whether be it in the academe or in service or in practice, or if you can do all of this at the same time, then why not? Okay. But it's very important also that you have a good moral support coming from the immediate people around you. I cannot really ignore the fact that I am able to do many of the things that I do because I have a very good support system coming from my mentors, coming from my family, and coming from my friends. And that's very important. You seek mentorship starting because you're just starting, you really have to look for someone who will guide you. And women will always empower fellow women. Okay, we always root for each other. So I hope that you will find that mentor not only like early on in your career, but for your entire life. Okay, also embrace leadership and lifelong learning. It after you graduate, it really doesn't end there. And as early as now in your undergraduate years, try to not decline any positions given to you, handed to you, offered to you. Take the challenge of standing out from the crowd and really leading other people. Because I said, more projects would thrive better if we have a lot more women involved in this development. And when you become somebody like in the industry, be sure to mentor others. No, even if you're not in the academe, even if you have your own practice, or whether you're in the government practice, so be sure to bring other people up. No, bring with you, let them experience what you experience, and help them as others have helped you. So these are the list of references for this lecture. And let me end this lecture by quoting Maya Angelou, who is a famous human rights activist. And she said, "The world needs strong women. Each time a woman stands up for herself, she stands up for all women." Thank you. Very emotional ako. Stop sharing.
So, ayan, thank you po. Thank you very much, Doc Maying, for that very comprehensive and heartful God talk, no? Sobrang nakakatuwa yung development, no? Lalo na yung brief history. Thank you for sharing us yung brief history na yun. So now we know kung paano yung mga women ay nag-develop from a previously male-dominated profession, tapos ngayon nga yung nag-evolve na siya. And also, thank you for sharing us your experiences, your struggles, and of course, your courage to brave all of those challenges you faced. I believe our participants were inspired with your story, and I hope na currently kung meron mang nakaka-experience ng mga yon, ay currently they will be inspired and they will be validated kung ano man yung mga feelings na yon. At I hope ay narinig din nila yung mga tips and advice, napakaraming tips and advice ni Doc. Thank you very much po doon. And of course, huwag natin kalimutan, ang daming accomplishments, and I hope na-inspire ang ating mga participants doon sa mga accomplishments.